Hello my crafty friends, I'm going to be decorating some journaling cards today using my new Color Burst pigment powders. It's the first time I'm using them. They're Ken Oliver's Color Burst pigment powders. They're really beautiful, and what I did find is that they're very intense, so you only need very little bit. As you can see, I've put a little bit too much, but I'll make it work. So I first sprayed the card with a little bit of water. I then sprinkle the powders on top, and then I just spray more water, and as you can see the colors blend. They're quite dark because I did put a little bit too much powder, but it does really look very effective. I love the way they're blending and running into each other, and I think the turquoise and the purple work really well together. I'm putting some of the drips from the one card onto the other card, so it sort of mixes and makes the colors very contrasting. Once they dry, they do lighten a bit, and we will lighten them some more with gesso later. I'm just going to do the back. This is going to be the side that I'm going to be journaling on, so I want the lines to still be showing. So I'm going to try and make this very light. I want just a few smudges of color, just to not leave it plain. In the second one here, I put again a little bit too much. They're quite delicate when you tapping them. So what I'm doing is I'm just pressing one onto the other to spread the color, and it comes up nice and light, and I think that looks fine for the writing side. I'm going to use a watercolor pencil. I'm going to use a purple and a turquoise, just to do a little bit of a frame just around them, just to finish off the side of the journaling card. I am dipping the tip of the watercolor pencil into the water, so when the line comes on, it's not perfectly like even. It comes thick and thin, watery, and very uneven, which is what I like. I like that rough look. I'm now going to use some gesso just to lighten these a little bit and add additional texture. I'm using just a small piece of cardboard and dipping it in my gesso, and then just making lines and marks on the card with the gesso. And as you can see, it brings up some beautiful textures and lightens some of the areas. I'm using some white acrylic paint that I'm watering down quite a bit. I want to make some splashes on top of this because I think the white contrasts really well with this purple and the turquoise. So I'm just using a paintbrush and tapping it on my hand to make the splashes. I'm going to use some Tipex or some liquid paper to make additional white spots, because I found when I dried the acrylic paint that I splashed, as you can see, the pigment color picked up into the acrylic and colored the dots. So I've used the liquid paper just to make them more white. I'm also stamping with black ink my script stamp just to add another level of texture. I'm now going to decorate each card with some embellishments. I'm using a piece of cheesecloth because I like the rough look, and if you know my style by now, I like a lot of texture, so it adds a lot of texture. And then I'm just using some contrasting colored cardstock to layer up the little embellishments. Now the little bird that you see that I've cut out is actually from a calendar, and the other images I use in the other cards are from the same calendar. It's quite an old one, and I'll see if I can find the name of it to add in the description of this video. Now I also added on the top left, you can see some tabs. I was thinking to make this into an index card, but I couldn't make it work, so eventually I've just taken all that off, and I'm leaving this as just a journaling card. I was thinking that the bird was getting a little bit lost just on its own, so I added first a black spot, but I didn't like the black, so I've added the white, which I think works better. So I'm just playing around with this positioning and different elements until I get the look I like. Now before I change my mind again, I'm going to glue everything down. For this kind of work, I use a hot glue gun. I like that it dries almost instantly, and it's quite secure for the different layers. I've also added some white thread just underneath, alongside the 2 white loops, which are wax cord. I've just used white sewing thread as well, just bunched up underneath, and a little punched black heart just for a little bit of contrast. Now I'm going to work on the second one. So I'm going to use the same formula as I did for the other one, so that they're all not matching, but you can see they're part of the same set. The little words, everyday moments, and so happy are from a Kaizercraft 12" by 12" paper, which I will put the name of in the description of this video. You don't always have to add the embellishments. We could have just used the card as is, just with the colors, the gesso, and the stamped acrylic script. But for this, I thought I'd like to add some embellishments and some more interest to the card. I didn't originally have the color lime in my pre-thought color scheme for this. I just had turquoise and purple, but since the little flower and the bird had a bit of lime in, which I think matches really well with the purple and turquoise, I've just kept that through as part of the theme. I'm edging the butterfly with a little bit of black pencil, just because I feel it's a little lost with the busy background and it's quite a light color. So just putting a little bit of a black trim on it makes it stand out even more. And then I realized for this one I forgot to add the white thread, so I try and I lift the wing a little bit, just enough to be able to add a little bit of bunched white thread underneath so it matches the other two. And as a finishing touch, I'm just going to add a black frame. Now don't be afraid to use black. I think sometimes people feel a little bit nervous because black is so dark and maybe so permanent, but I think the contrast is really beautiful and it works well. So give it a go. I could have also used purple or turquoise, but I do like the black, and it matches the little black heart and sort of just pulls everything together. So again, I'm using a watercolor pencil because I like that rough look with just dipping the little point in some water. Here I'm using a fine liner just to go around the circle because I felt it was a little bare, and the little frame around the circle just finishes it off. And you don't have to use expensive watercolor pencils for this. I've just bought a set of 24 for, I think it was $5 from the Reject shop, which is like a $2 shop. So they work well just to dip in the water, and if they get wrecked, it doesn't really matter. So please don't use any expensive watercolor pencils for this, because I think constantly dipping it in the water, the wood can get soft. But just a cheap set just for this kind of technique works really, really well. And there we go, they're done. I'm very happy with how they turned out, and I absolutely love the colors. I'd like to thank you very much for watching this video. I'd love it if you subscribed to my channel, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.